Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Mark Causey. With me is Francesca Maria.
Hello.
We're the co-editors of Black Cat Tales, an anthology of black cats from Black Cat Publishing. We're here with Allison A.H. Plotz, one of the authors of our book, and we're gonna talk about your story in our book.
And I would love to introduce Allison by reading her intro. After 20 plus years traveling the world for the US government, A.H. Plotz has a lot of scary stories to tell. A.H. is an active member of the HWA and her local writing community. She writes screenplays and makes short films, teaches writing workshops, and designs horror-centric events for local libraries. Music, books, and food are some of her many other vices. Connect with her on Instagram at ahplotsthecoast, on X and Blue Sky at ahplots, and at her own website, www.ahplotsthecoast.com, where she writes about life on the California coast. This is her first publication. Yay! Woohoo! So, Allison, welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
So we'd love to talk to you about your awesome piece for the anthology. It's called Cats Just Don't Care. Could you give us like a little synopsis without any spoilers?
Sure, I will try. First of all, I just want to say I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me to speak with you. As you mentioned, this is my first publication, so I'm super, super excited. Cats just don't care. So it's a story about a cat and its people, and what happens when those people go away, and will they or will they not come back again?
Mhm. It's a beautiful piece, and I love how you kind of described the cat's perspective. So it's all in the first person from the cat's perspective. And you're kind of left, again, no spoilers, you're kind of left with, is this a protagonist or is this a villain or what's happening with this cat? But my heart kind of broke a little bit for this cat. It's very emotional, and I loved how visceral it was, especially given that you haven't been published before. I'm like, this girl needs to be in our book.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, thank you so much. And that's exactly, what I was aiming for. So, I can't tell you how good that makes me feel that it's so hard as a writer. The challenge, right, is communicating those thoughts, those feelings to the readers. It's all inside our heads, right? We know exactly what we're talking about and what
Yeah.
we mean, but being able to communicate that to others that read the story, I mean, that's it. I mean, that's the thing, that's what I was aiming for. So thank you for those comments. And yeah, I felt that way about writing the story, is that part of the inspiration was this idea of when we leave our pets. I mean, I have a cat, and I've been a cat owner for as long as I can remember. And when you leave your pet, there's always that sense of, what happens if I don't come back? What happens if something happens to me?
Yeah.
What's going to happen to my poor pet? My poor cat.
Mhm.
So I just kind of started thinking about that. And also I had a t-shirt, uh it's an old t-shirt, and made by this really interesting artist from Silicon Valley. And basically the t-shirt said, "Cats don't care." And it was a picture of this black cat
Mhm.
with a ball of string, and in the background is like this house on fire, and people like little like stick drawings of people with their hair like on fire, and the cats just sitting there playing with the string. Exactly, not really caring what's happening back there. It's happy with its plaything. So that combination of, well, okay, what happened to those people, and why is that house on fire? And then that, combined with the idea of leaving my own cat, because I travel quite a bit, and every time I go, I say to my cat, "Don't worry, kitty, don't worry, I'll be back. I'll be back. I promise, I'll always come back." And so I thought about that in terms of, well, what does that really mean? And what could that mean? I'll always come back.
Mhm. I love that. And I love hearing the inspiration. So it was a t-shirt, an image on a t-shirt, and boom, this story just starts to develop. That's a sign of a good writer. You just see inspiration wherever, however, and the story just starts to blossom within. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. That's how I think about it too. It's true. There is inspiration all around us.
Yeah, that's right.
Your story has a real cat perspective. It's like a lot of stories in the book. It's a cat centric, cat focused sort of thing. But you do a really great job of capturing how the world looks from the cat's view. And you mentioned you have cats. You've always been. Tell us about your current cat or a cat or a cat in your life.
A black cat.
A black cat. Oh yeah.
'Cause
God.
I mean, you clearly come by the cat perspective naturally,
Yes.
and so let's say where does that come from?
Yeah, you know, I don't know what it is, but yeah, I feel like I relate to cats more than I relate to dogs. Let's say, how they say there's, you're a dog person or you're a cat person. I mean, I love all animals, quite honestly, but cats definitely. I think I'm more. Uh, I can kind of I feel like I can understand them better than I can understand dogs, and maybe just because I've had cats. I've always that's been sort of my chosen animal companion. um so yeah, well, my current cat is actually not black. He's a tabby. He's an orange tabby.
Oh,
And interesting a bit thing about him is that he is the first male cat that I've ever had. For as long as I can remember, it's always been female cats. And I kind of wondered if, how different that would be, if there would be any sort of difference between, like, the personality types or the way the cats respond to you, if there's difference between male cats, female cats, that kind of thing.
mhm,
uh, so this cat is like, he's much bigger than any other, like, female cats I've had. He's probably like double the size. And
mhm.
he's very orange, and he's got stripes, and he's got quite the mischievous personality. He actually was an inspiration for a film script that I've written recently. So there's that because of that mischievous nature. And he actually is. It's funny because I expected that as a male cat he was going to be much more like, I don't know, standoffish. Maybe wasn't going to be around much. Probably a good hunter. All of these, like, funny how we come up with these ideas, based on, like, male cat versus female cat or whatever. It's kind of like what we do in society, isn't it?
Mhm.
And but yet he's super, like, he's super cuddly. He's
Mhm.
probably the most cuddly cat I've ever had. He
Mhm.
always wants to be with me or my husband. He will curl up in your lap. He curls up in our arms when we're, like, sleeping. He'll come and sleep in the bed with us. I
No.
mean, pretty crazy actually, compared to the personality types of the other cats that I've had. So he's kind of a handful, in a good way, in a pleasant way.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, he's very different than the other cats that I've had, and very different to me in terms of the way I think about black cats.
Hmm. How so?
I think there is sort of this idea, certainly you see it in literature, of black cats kind of being, harbingers of evil,
Mhm.
or harbingers of, negativity. I
Bad
grew
omens.
Yeah, bad omens. I grew up with this idea of, I think it was a movie maybe that talked about cats, that would come upon you at nighttime when you're sleeping and steal your breath.
Mhm.
That they would, and usually it would be a black cat. It's,
Mhm.
oh, black cats, because black as a color, or lack of color, is
Mhm.
evil, right?
Mhm.
Um, so this idea of what a black cat signifies is very interesting to me, but I don't believe that.
And I think because of that stigma, they're often the cats left behind at shelters. A lot of different cultures and backgrounds feel like they are evil. And so a lot of times you'll find all the other cats get adopted and the black cats are left behind, which is kind of sad.
Why horror? What is your approach to horror specifically? How do you go at the genre? What's the way A.H. Plots approaches the horror genre?
Oh man. Well, I think that I'm probably speaking for a lot of horror writers and a lot of writers when I say that I have my own set of demons that I'm constantly dealing with and trying to overcome. And I have found that reading and writing horror is a way to approach those difficult situations and do it in a way that empowers me. I feel like, because I'm the writer, I'm in charge. Yes, stories do tend to kind of sometimes take on a life of their own, but it's still, like a controlled environment.
Hmm.
And so, I can approach those scary things and write about them. And I find writing very therapeutic and get it kind of out on the page, out of my head and out of my heart sometimes, and deal with them in a courageous manner.
Hmm.
Because I'm the one that's like dealing the cards, so I can decide like what's going to happen, and I can overcome the scary thing. Or sometimes the scary thing is the thing that overcomes the protagonist.
Hmm.
But either way, it's a way for me to kind of look into that darkness and deal with it in a what I consider to be a much more protected and positive way than actually going into the darkness. And which for those of us who have been in the darkness, thank God that we make our way out. But I'd rather deal with it through the writing now than actually live that kind of life. So that has helped me immensely to be more positive and,
Yeah.
in my reality in the outside world, by just kind of exercising all those the dark aspect of what I believe we all have that side of to our nature. And I find it really fascinating to kind of get in there, but in a way that I can find my way out much more easily.
No, I feel the same way. I feel like, horror writers that I meet are some of the most well-adjusted people out there because we work out our demons in our writing. And so we're a lot more happier, a lot more positive. We're not dark and scary people, quite the opposite. You mentioned your film. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Why, yes. Just my latest vice, I guess. My latest project is, I wrote a screenplay with another writer friend. It's a combination of John Wick meets Home Alone with a female lead, a mischievous cat, and lots of blood and popcorn.
Yes.
Have the final girl trope, so how that final girl has become not so much the unwilling victim, but is now the vengeful badass.
I
that's
love it.
Yeah, that's my main character. It's called the pet sitter. So
Uh-huh.
here it ties into what we've been talking
Cats.
about with pets, and thinking about how great pet sitters are because they look after our animals when we're gone, and how far is this pet sitter willing to go to protect cat? It's a cat that she's caring for.
Amazing. And I love that you've spread your artistic talents across different mediums like that. So how can people support your project?
You go to my website, www.ahplotsthecoast.com. I've actually written up a piece about, starting this project.
Mhm.
So there's a blog there, and in the blog, there is a link to the GoFundMe page.
We can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat with us today, and good luck with your movie project. We're so excited to see that come to fruition as well.
Yes, thank you for joining us. We're real excited to give the readers of the book a chance to meet all the authors and get to peek behind the curtain a little bit. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for contributing to our book.
Thank you so much for having me.